Never knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're Oreo cookie, white in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro. I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I will slap you.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Black at the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with me. I absolutely appreciate it. I told you about a bill that was passed, or that the governor of California signed the other day, Bill SB 1172. And this bill will prevent you, or I guess counselors, from counseling children or gay people, I don't know if it's children or not, who feel that they are homosexual but like to overcome it. Well, the governor has signed into law a bill that would prohibit that from happening. Governor Jerry Brown. I told you about this about 2 weeks ago. It's amazing, 2 weeks have gone by already. I have with me someone that I have the utmost respect for. They've been out there fighting for the family for a long time. And I think in California, they are like the number one firm that fight, or organization that fights for the family. Brad Dacus is with me, president of the Pacific Justice Institute, which defends religious liberties and parental rights. Pacific Justice Institute handles more cases on the West Coast than any other organization of its kind. Brad, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure being on the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with me. I really have the utmost respect for what you guys are doing. Is your organization a nonprofit? Can people donate to it?
Yes, it is. It's a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and all gifts are tax deductible completely.
Well, before you leave this morning, we'll tell the people how to help you out, because we need you here in California. Tell the folks about this bill that Governor Jerry Brown signed about 2 weeks ago, SB 1172. How did it come about? Who brought it about, and why?
Well, I tell you, Jesse, it's really a shock when we realize what it is. But it was originated by the LGBT movement, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, or other movement. And these activists are very powerful in California, very powerful.
Yeah.
We at Pacific Justice Institute, with our attorneys, were fought it in the legislative process from day one, appearing at all the hearings regarding this legislation, testifying against it, bringing in experts. But unfortunately, it was able to pass. Now, mind you, it passed. Every Democrat in the state Senate, every Democrat in the state Assembly voted for it. Every Republican in the state Senate and state Assembly voted against it.
Wow.
So if people, I don't like to be real partisan, but I do like to point out, though, when we see stark differences like this over something so dramatically, such a dramatic challenge to what the average person out there believes and thinks is right, I think it's important to take note of that, because the LGBT movement controls the Democrat Party in California. It literally controls it, and they sign off on every bit of legislation, as Governor Jerry Brown did.
That's amazing. And explain 1172 to the folks for me.
Oh, certainly. This legislation prohibits anyone under the age of 18, anyone, from getting any counseling from a licensed counselor that in any way discourages them from same-sex attraction or homosexuality. Not just the attraction, though. It even deals with conduct. So it prohibits anyone getting under 18 getting any counseling discouraging them from engaging in homosexual conduct or sex acts at all.
That's amazing. First of all, I don't understand how someone can sit back and come up with this type of idea or law. It doesn't. How do you impose that upon everybody? I don't get that.
It is pretty stunning, and like I say, once again, every single Democrat in the state legislature voted for it. The rationale that they gave was simply this. They said, well, first, they're amoral, so the sexual activity and behavior to them is it's wonderful, it's okay. They don't like anything discouraging people from not engaging in sexual activity. Even our public schools, they oppose any legislation promoting abstinence. Okay, that's what the legislature does.
Yeah.
So, but the rationale behind it, if you were to talk to them, they'd say, look, anyone with the same-sex attraction at any time, at any age, is 100% genetic, 100% predetermined DNA, genetic. So to have anyone allow any minor to get any counseling, even if their parents want it, even if a licensed counselor wants the person to have it, sees the person have it, even if the minor wants it, it should be banned and prohibited because there's no way, shape, or form they have any chance, any possibility of changing, and it's only going to cause them confusion, depression, and suicide. It's the big lie.
Yeah.
And because we know factually, two main objections. Number one is we know factually that there are many people out there who have successfully overcome same-sex attraction through therapy and counseling. It's not even a question, but they treat it like these people don't even exist. They're the biggest bigots are people who contend you don't even exist. That's the worst form of discrimination, and that's what these intolerant people are insisting. Second, Jesse, get this, that a large percentage, studies have shown that a large number of people who are suffering from same-sex attraction are those who were sexually abused as a child. In fact, one study shows that homosexuals are 8 times more likely to have been sexually abused as a child.
Yeah.
So, here we have a clear statistical, correlation here, and very provable correlation that it's not just genetic. In fact, it's much more dominant to be social environmental factors and experiences. Also, those who had a dominant mother didn't have a bonding, affirmative father. Those are other factors that come into play. That's
right. Absolutely. Will this law apply to counselors and preachers and pastors of the church who counsel these folks?
It will if the counselor or the pastor or clergy is a licensed counselor. If they are a licensed counselor, then even though they're in ministry, their hands are completely tied from giving any counseling from a Christian perspective with regards to same-sex attraction. They are prohibited and banned against giving that to anyone under the age of 18 in any circumstances in the state of California, period.
Well, they always complain about church and state. Why are they involved in the church in this?
Well, their rationale is they say, well, it doesn't apply to clergy who aren't trained counselors, who aren't licensed counselors. They can still do it. Just those who are licensed counselors can't. Well, that's like, telling you, so they're basically what they're telling is religious. So you have some 14-year-olds who's having struggles with same-sex attraction. And by the way, at varying degrees of same-sex attraction, particularly in early adolescence, is not that uncommon at all.
Yeah.
And so here you have these, they have a natural curiosity, a comparative curiosity that many of them confuse with, being bound in homosexuality at that age. So here they are, here they have a strong religious beliefs, they're strong, committed to their faith. What this legislation tells them is, okay, you can get counseling from a non-trained counselor who's very, clergy, who's educated with your faith, or you can get someone who's a trained counselor, a licensed counselor, to really help you. But the law requires them to give you counseling that's going to be directly opposed to your faith and challenging and testing of your faith and encouraging you to discard your faith. So that's outrageous.
Man, 888-775-3773. Quick break. Back in a moment. We're going to tell you how to help the Pacific Justice Institute. You got to help them, folks. Back in a moment.
Bought a guitar and started a band. I got a gig at the local lamb fair. I was gone and I ain't back yet. Yeah.
We met at a truck stop, Johnson City, Tennessee.
It's Country and Western Day. It's Tuesday. Brad Dacus is with me, president of the Pacific Justice Institute, and they have filed a lawsuit in California. SB 172 was signed in. It's a bill here in California where the governor signed about 2 weeks ago, Governor Jerry Brown. I kind of think California is getting what it deserves because they knew what Jerry Brown was like. We had him before, and they brought him back. And so, you know, in life, you don't go backwards. You constantly move forward. And so it's like going back into a bad marriage. You know the marriage is over. You know it didn't work, and yet you go back again. Brad, I know that you filed a lawsuit on Monday, October 1st, there in Sacramento. Tell us about this lawsuit, what you're expecting to happen, and how can we help?
Oh, certainly, Jesse. And first, I just want to salute you and your radio program. I've heard you speak before on more than one occasion, and I really appreciate the work that you do to get truth out. And also the Bond Action organization is a fine organization as well. So I just wanted to let people know that I'm very familiar with you and the work that you've done, and appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and now you have to pay me the $100 you promised.
I know, huh? The check is on the way. I am going to donate to your organization because we need your organization even more so here, especially here in California. So I am going to make a donation today, and I want other people to do the same thing.
Yeah, I was joking about that.
No, I know. Yeah, I know.
Okay, but anyway, getting back on the topic, though, yes, we at Pacific Justice, we did file this lawsuit, and the day after, as soon as we possibly could, it was signed a lot late on a Friday night, and we filed a lawsuit on the following Monday, I believe, and and it's real important because there's another dimension of this I think that the audience needs to know about, that they're going to be very shocked to hear. But it's unfortunately the truth, and that is this legislation does, in addition to all that it does, prohibiting counseling and tying the hands of clergy who are licensed counselors, it also subjects parents who do not affirm a child's perceives homosexuality. So say a 14-year-old girl comes home and says, I heard this lecture from a lesbian in school, or public schools, which is very common in California schools these days.
Yeah.
So I heard this lesbian and talk, and I think I'm a lesbian, and Mom, Dad, will you love me and accept me since I'm a lesbian? Well, if the parents say, well, of course we love you, but you're not a lesbian. Let's take a look at what the Bible says. And the next day she goes to school and she tells her counselor, my parents, they said it's a sin and for me to engage in this activity, and that it's not. Well, this law will then prescribe and allows the state, whenever parents quote reject the same-sex attraction of a child, this allows the government to come in and permanently remove the child from the family immediately, and the parents may never see their children ever again if they do not affirm their child's same-sex attraction. It institutes they declare what's called a compelling state interest for government intervention when the parents do not affirm and quote accept a child's perceived homosexuality. Now, reality is same-sex attraction is very fluid. Kaiser Permanente, very liberal, by the way. So that they acknowledge in the literature of it, sexual orientation is fluid. Can go back and forth well into adulthood. And yet this legislation treats it like it's 100% genetic. And if parents don't accept it, they're obviously cruel and hate-filled. Maybe religious people. So we need to protect them. So it allows the state of California social workers come in and remove the children, and there's not much the parents can do about it.
So this is part of SB 1172.
Right. This is a part of it, and that's another reason why we filed our lawsuit to challenge it as unconstitutional. And I'll make something really clear: is we at Pacific Justice, we have a lot going on in California. We have roughly 1,000 affiliate attorneys nationwide who volunteer their time to defend parents' rights, religious freedom, faith, family freedom. But make no mistake, Jesse, I'm telling you, this, as you know, if we don't challenge this in California, these groups have already targeted other states across the country to implement this legislation, and they have and especially when there's heavy Democrat legislative controlled legislatures, New York, Illinois, Massachusetts, and other places, Washington. We think they're going to. We know they're going to continue to try to make headway and get this kind of legislation passed, and that's why we at Pacific Justice Institute are aggressively challenging this in court, in federal court, with the hope and prayer of it, we'll be able to get this struck down as unconstitutional.
I've been talking about these bills in my church service on Sunday mornings. I mentioned them to the congregation so they would know what's going on, and I find that a lot of the regular folks in California have no idea that these things are happening. And so I wanted to know from you, do they have a hearing on these bills before they vote on them, or do they just secretly vote on them?
No, they have lots of hearings in the Assembly, State Senate, State Assembly. We at Pacific Justice Institute, we had our attorneys testify at every single one of those hearings. We send out our press releases. In fact, I strongly encourage people listening to this, if at the very least they could go to our website and sign up to get our press releases, email to them or mail to them. We really want to. That's how we mobilize and empower parents, is by them being educated and informed, so that they can weigh in when these kind of bills are pending. We'd love to see that more and more, and we'd love to get that out. Also, when people hear me on the radio, they sign up. Also, I do a lot of guest speaking at churches myself, and without charge. And and people often sign up at those at times as well. But we really need to get out that information in the future.
What's your website, Brad, and so that people can sign up and make donations to you?
Well, that'd be great. It's simply P for Pacific, J for Justice, I for Institute, .org. So PJI.org. PJI.org.
We have about 2 minutes left here together. What are the chances of you overturning this or winning this case in court? Well,
I tell you, Jesse, our attorneys spent a lot of time prepping for this, even before it was signed into law, because we had a pretty good idea that Governor Jerry Brown was already in the other side's camp. So we were preparing for it. We did a really good job. I think our attorneys did a really good job prepping for it. I think we have a very good chance of filing. I have sort of a rule at Pacific Justice: if we don't think we have a shot at it, we're not going to waste our resources just to file, just for the sake of filing. So I think we really do have a good shot at it. People need to pray for us without question, because I have seen God's power in the courtroom without a doubt.
That's right. Brad, thank you so much, and we'll bring you back so we can stay updated on this and inform the folks as to how this is going.
I would love to, and once again, Jesse, I greatly value you and appreciate you in your program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. God bless you.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, bye now. Back in a moment, folks.